And welcome into the countdown show for Week 8 for the Fantasy 4-Pack. I'm your host, Ian Power, joined as always by Matt Vitale. Both Jeff Gagnon and Frankie Santiago are playing hooky today. We're going to be taking you through the Week 8 Sunday slate and the Monday game. But before we dive into that, we have three very quick news items. A.J. Brown, DNP today, but he is expected to play. It seems more and more like this is just, for whatever reason, they give A.J. Brown Thursdays off.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about it last week. I'm not worried about it again this week. It just seems like, the knee bruise was pretty bad, so they're just trying to nurse that knee as much as they can and keep him healthy.
Sure. Jalen Reagor was activated from IR, and he will play this Sunday, so he immediately vaults right up into wide receiver streaming contention for me. I think that he is a rock-solid play against Dallas this weekend. And then John Brown fully participated in practice today. I'm not super excited for John Brown, the player, but I think that makes the Bills' passing offense better as a whole if he plays. So it'll be nice to get him out there. But I'm still just starting Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley on that team. That's all I had for news. Do you have anything that I was missing?
Nope. I think that's about it.
Okay, well, as always, before we dive into the slate, make sure to follow us on social media, hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell so you know whenever new content drops. Make sure to share us with all of your friends and family members. Get the word out there about all of the good information we're spreading for fantasy football, or if you think we're trash, share us with your enemies so that they can get bad information. Either way, we're happy. All right. First game on our slate here. Vikings Packers. 51 point total. The Packers are 6.5 point favorites. I'm looking forward to this game because it'll be nice to see Dalvin Cook back on the field. I think this one could be a nice little bucket of fantasy points for us.
Yeah, like I said, I'm really psyched for this game just because, they got rid of Ngakoue. Not that he was helping the Vikings that much, but it's a downgrade for the defense as a whole. So
Sure.
I don't see any reason why the Packers shouldn't be slinging it and putting up points and forcing the Vikings to, sling it as well. So
yeah,
this is definitely a game you want skin in both sides of this game.
I will say though, just because I've had some questions on who is streamable in this game. To me, I'm starting obviously Dalvin Cook. I'm starting Adam Thielen. I'm starting Justin Jefferson. If I have to, I'm starting Kirk Cousins. I think he's in streaming play this week, but he's not my favorite streamer. And then aside from that, I'm not starting any of their Vikings. On the Packers side of the ball, it's just Rodgers, Jamal Williams, and Devontae Adams for me. Even though I love the total in this game, I think this is going to be a very obvious game in terms of where the fantasy points are going. If you try and chase some of those tertiary options, you might be disappointed. Like a question I've got a couple times, Irv Smith Jr. going against a tough Packers defense. They've been very good against covering the tight end so far this season, 7th against the tight end. I'm not really interested in trying to sneak some fantasy points out of him. Same with Tonyan on the Packers side of the ball. He's coming back from injury. He's been kind of banged up. MVS apparently doesn't have hands. I can't explain why else he hasn't been useful.
Yeah, like I said, I think this is, as you said, a very obvious one. But on top of that, I just think it's on the Vikings side of it. They're going to be down, and they're going to need to use their weapons they trust. So this is going to be it's going to be 1, 2, 3. It's just going to be Dalvin, Thielen, Justin Jefferson, just over and over and over again.
Yeah.
With maybe a bit of sprinkling of Madison if Dalvin's not 100%.
Sure. Titans Bengals in the next game here. This one's a 53-point over-under. The Titans are 5.5 point favorites. This is one where I don't really know if I like that 53-point total. It's like I look at this one, and obviously the Titans can shoot out, so can the Bengals. But I could see with how the Titans' offense functions, I could see the Titans getting up on the Bengals in this one and then just slowing the game down with Derrick Henry and not really giving the Bengals room to come back in. Trying to avoid what the Bengals, the track meet the Bengals got into with the Browns last week. Like, these are both defenses that you can score on, but I could see the Titans trying to play slow ball against this one. They throw a couple big passes to AJ Brown. They get Corey Davis deep and they get someone into the end zone and then just kind of run the clock out basically.
Yeah, we do know that Derrick Henry does have that. He is elite, but he does have a ramp up period. He's like the opposite of Phillip Rivers when it comes to how he gets his production done.
Sure.
As the year goes on, he just chugs harder and harder. So I think we're going to see a more typical Tennessee. Tennessee's going to want to play that way. If the Bengals can get up early, they might force them to play a little bit more of the up-tempo, throw-it offense that we've seen.
Yep.
But I would not be shocked if this is a 25-carry Derrick Henry game.
Yeah, I mean, it should still be interesting for fantasy purposes. Honestly, I'm probably more interested in the Bengals side of the ball on this one. For the Titans, I'm really trying to avoid doing anything outside the obvious. But for the Bengals, I mean, it sounds like Mixon's not going to play again this week, so Gio's in play for me. I think Burrows is a fine streaming option this week. And this is one of the rare weeks where I really think that all three of the Bengals wide receivers are in play this week. Obviously, I love T. Higgins. I love his role in that offense. He's going to have plenty of opportunity to get behind the Titans secondary and score some big points for fantasy managers. I think Boyd's going to eat against this team, and honestly, with the volume that AJ Green's been getting, I still don't love him this week. But I think that if you need him to fill in a bye week or something, AJ Green should be a fine wide receiver 3/flex this week. He's probably not going to wow you unless he falls into the end zone, but I could see AJ Green getting 6 catches for 82 yards or something like that.
Yeah, and like I said, just off of sheer volume, he is still a big threat receiver. So if they get near the end zone and they're trying to chuck it in there, he is still a big guy with sure hands. So
T. Higgins has kind of replaced him in that role. So is Higgins. He has sort of become their new deep threat / red zone threat. But so that's why I do temper expectations for AJ Green in this matchup. But I mean, if you get enough volume, sure, any one play, you juke one tackle, and all of a sudden you could be off to the races.
Yeah, that's kind of more what I'm looking at. Is I wouldn't expect him to be the first read in this game for red zone looks, but he's still AJ Green. Still, the mentals are still there, the hands are still there, somewhat. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes he could have a 60-yard 1 touchdown game, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Sure. LA Rams, Miami Dolphins, 46-point over/under. I think that's too high. The Rams are only 3.5-point favorites. I think that's too low. I feel bad for Tua. This is going to be a bloodbath. The Dolphins' defense is legit. The Rams' defense is a top 5 defense in the league. These are two very strong defensive teams, and the Rams' defense, led by Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, gets a rookie quarterback who's just being thrown to the wolves here. I mean, and Jared Goff's no amazing quarterback on the other side of the ball. I could see this being just a defensive slugfest. The Dolphins have shown they can shut down offenses. 46 seems too high for this one. I'm trying to fade this. This is like my sit 'em if you can game. I don't want pieces from this game unless it's the Rams defense.
Yeah, honestly, I'm interested on the Rams side still.
Henderson.
Yeah, I was going to say Darrell Henderson's the big one I'm interested in here because I do think this is going to be kind of what the Titans are going to want to do. This is going to be them squashing and getting turnovers. I could see Darrell Henderson with 70 yards, but 2 touchdowns because they get so many short yardage fields that he only has to punch in a 15-yarder basically.
Sure. Are there any Dolphins? So obviously, the Rams are a little more high profile than the Dolphins in terms of where you drafted them and what they've been doing so far this year. You might not be able to sit, Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods. Mm-hmm. Are there any Dolphins you are willing to start?
I'd start Gaskin just because he gets work out of the backfield, and I think a rookie quarterback could use a safety blanket running back like that.
And with how shallow running back is, you probably can't sit Gaskin.
Yeah, that's the other bigger thing. Is like you could be with this week. There's a couple of startable running backs that are on buys right now, plus injuries and all that stuff. Like Gaskin might just be a lock because of the dearth of running back. So I have no problem starting him here. I'm not expecting much. This is very much a floor game for him.
Sure.
But he might be able to sneak out. Like you're just basically praying for a touchdown with him, that he can sneak out of the game with one. But he's not the guy that's going to win you a week.
And then Devontae Parker, Preston Williams, Mike Gesicki. You're not playing any of them.
If I need one, they're at the
it's
same.
Like if you're forced to, but if
right.
you have the choice, they're riding the pine.
They're about, and for me, rankings wise, I'd put them in the same ballpark as AJ Green right now for where I'd use them.
Yeah, I probably got them in that range too, but a little bit. I think actually I would have to say I would have Devontae Parker below AJ Green this week. Just I think AJ Green's path to points is easier than Devontae Parker. Devontae Parker's more guaranteed the targets if he's out there. He is the number one for his team, but it's still against Jalen Ramsey. Like, pass.
Yeah.
Chiefs, Jets, we're just going to skip this one. There's nothing to talk about in this game. The Chiefs are almost 20-point favorites. In a 49-point over-under. I wouldn't be... The only thing I would say for this one is you probably don't want to start your tertiary Chiefs because it wouldn't shock me if you see Patrick Mahomes benched by the second half.
Yeah. I honestly, if you're a Pat Mahomes owner, I would be a little worried. I personally would be a little worried. Would you look at another?
I'm still streaming Mahomes this week. I think that if they bench Mahomes, Mahomes is going to do enough to. I'm not streaming. I'm still playing Mahomes this week. I think if Mahomes gets benched in the second half because he did enough in the first to at least put up a respectable fantasy output, but.
I think for this one, I'm more worried that the running backs could eat, and he could get out of this game with 250 and a touchdown. And you're
Le'Veon Bell revenge game.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'd love it. Just drops 203 touchdowns. They just let him do everything. They're just we'll keep CH fresh for the playoffs. You just go put all the yards that you should be getting.
Him quarterback too on some plays. Run some wildcat out there. Who knows?
Let him kick the ball too. Who cares?
Yeah, that's like I said. That one is one where it's not gonna be a fun game to watch. Avoid it if you can. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Pat Mahomes. That's it. Le'Veon Bell, I guess. But Steelers Ravens, a similar over/under 46.5 for this one, but a much closer line. 3.5-point favorites towards the Ravens. As someone who is heavily invested in both of these offenses, I'm a little nervous about this game. Steelers defense and the Ravens defense are both just tough as nails. You never want to play against either of them. Like, the running backs aren't going to have fun. Big Ben isn't good against the Ravens. Lamar Jackson doesn't have enough sample size to really determine if he's going to be good against the Steelers or not. But, Lamar Jackson hasn't looked great this season. So, I'm not excited about the quarterbacks in this one. I'm not excited about the running backs in this one. Because I'm not excited about the quarterbacks, I'm not excited about the wide receivers. I guess the defenses could have a nice day, but
I want to like Big Ben in this one just because while they're both great defenses, we've seen time and time again where sometimes that's a bit of a wash when it comes to a divisional rivalry you've played so many times. Even in the hayest of heydays for the Patriots, the Dolphins and the Bills can give you a game.
Sure.
When they're at home, especially. So, the Ravens at home, if this was the Steelers at home, I would have a little more comfort in Big Ben. If you couldn't get somebody else with a flashier matchup, I would say it's okay. But this one is...
Big Ben in... Make sure I'm reading this correctly. Big Ben in 23 games against the Ravens in the regular season has a passer rating of 85. He has thrown 37 touchdowns and 23 picks, so almost 1-to-1. It's just not. It is not pretty. I'm looking up and down this list here. With the exception of a game in 2014 when he hit 340, and a game in 2017 when he hit 506. You have to go back to 2011 for him to go over that again. Most of his games are 250 and down against the it's He gets around 270 a lot. It's usually one pick and one touchdown. And it seems like a lot of the work that he does do against the Ravens when he can comes at home.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, if this was Big Ben at home, I'd be much more in on this one.
Yeah, like the 506 and 2 touchdowns was at home.
Yeah. I think the only way the Steelers can really hang points on them is if Lamar keeps looking like Lamar's looked this year.
Sure.
But if we can get a classic Lamar game, I think this is gonna be I would be shocked if the Steelers can really put up points against this team.
Yeah, I will say though, like the Steelers' passing defense hasn't been as good as I think we expected it to be. So there is the opportunity for, and obviously I like Hollywood in this one. There is the opportunity for, if Lamar can complete some passes, the Ravens to hang points. If the Ravens hang points, Big Ben might have to chase. So I guess we could see a sneaky shootout in this one, but it's a low percentage chance.
Yeah, this feels like that DraftKings day where you're going to get some homer that just loves the Steelers. He's going to start like 4 Steelers and he's going to win $1 million because he's the one guy that went all in on Steelers.
That's just called exposure to different players.
Yeah, okay.
That's what happens when you run 150 lineups.
Yeah, okay. The guy who's probably also got a picture of the Steelers logo. His name's Steeler Nation.
Las Vegas Raiders, Cleveland Browns, 50.5 point over/under, 2.5 point favorites to the Browns. Didn't expect that, honestly. But how do you feel about this one? I'm still trying to work my way through my thoughts on this matchup.
I don't like it. There should be fantasy points to be had.
Sure.
I don't want to guess who. Like this game feels to me like it's like Josh Jacobs should be good, but he hasn't been. Like, I think the only sure thing here is Kareem Hunt. I think he's the one sure thing in this matchup.
Kareem Hunt should eat.
With the other side of that, the rest of it is that game you played as a kid. Guess who? You got to pick a card. You got to guess the faces and then knock all the other cards down. Like,
I'll say Jarvis Landry should have a good game.
Should.
But he's the number one for Cleveland now. The Raiders can't cover pass catchers. I'm fine starting Jarvis Landry in this one.
Oh, I'm fine starting him, but it's like if you had to tell me who's like the starter, like the guy who's going to eat in this one, like you could tell me it's that.
If I have to pick a single Browns receiver to eat, it's Jarvis Landry. Rashad Higgins, I'm fine. Like there's a lot of players in this matchup that I'm fine streaming. It's just I expect more on the Raiders side of the ball that there's going to be some shortcomings. Like I think that Jarvis Landry, there we go, and Rashard Higgins are both going to have serviceable days for fantasy. Their ceilings are probably a little bit limited because I expect a lot of the touchdown volume to go to Kareem Hunt. But like I'm fine rolling both of them out there as floor plays this week. On the Raiders side of the ball, that's where it's like I wonder who's catching touchdowns in this one. Like Darren Waller will be fine, and then for the wide receivers, it's like, is it Henry Ruggs? Is it Hunter Renfrow? Is it Nelson Aguilar? I don't know. Like you can stream all of them, and you might be disappointed or pleased, just depending on who catches the touchdown. Like, I personally think that Henry Ruggs is the play in this one. I've seen a lot of people saying it's Hunter Renfrow. Some people are saying Nelson Aguilar. It's like this one is just split 3 ways. It's just hop on whatever receiver you like best and hold them close as they hopefully score you lots of points. This here is another one where I think we can kind of skip it. At least the Bills, I'm not starting anyone unless there's a trade announced before this game because it's been rumored that the Patriots might be selling off some of their pieces to go into rebuild mode. Unless Stephon Gilmore is not on this team by the time Sunday rolls around, I'm not starting any Bills except for Stephon Diggs, and I'm not starting any Patriots. So easy decision for me here.
You didn't want to try and roll the dice on Damiere Byrd or anyone with Julian Edelman out?
No.
You don't want to gamble on some tuba player number 7 coming out of the stands?
This is a fantasy wasteland for me.
I agree.
Indiana Colts, Detroit Lions, 50 point over/under, 3 point favorites to the Colts. I'm excited for this game. It's Jonathan Taylor season. As the resident Jonathan Taylor truther who's been just holding on to him, waiting for that big game, it's Jonathan Taylor season. The Lions can't stop the run. The Colts had a bye week. They're going to figure it out.
Or he's just another David Montgomery.
He's not just another. He's better than David Montgomery at least. He actually is getting like decent yards per carry. His big issue is that for whatever reason Frank Reich wants to keep rolling Nyheim Hines and Wilkins out there to the tune of 1.7 per carry when Taylor's near 5. Like the situation literally does not make sense to me. It's like Taylor is doing almost triple what the running backs on the team are, or at least double what the running backs on the team are doing aside from him. And yet, Frank Reich is still like, but what if we split carries? It's like, what if you didn't and just let your rookie who you just drafted to be great go out there and be great?
Maybe Taylor comes off and he's like, you know what? I'm a team player. Let them get some carries. It's like, I was just going to give you like 40 carries, but I guess he goes, oh, I am actually playing somebody in fantasy this week who has me, so I don't want you to have that. I'm always playing. I'm playing him every week. Don't give me all the carries. So I'm hoping that you're wrong in this game because I am in bye week / injury hell at the moment, specifically at running back. I've got the wide receivers that I can slot people in,
sure.
But for some reason you won't let me start wide receivers at the running back position, even though they do carry the ball forwards. I mean,
yes,
one could make an argument. Yeah, it's totally his fault.
You know what? You get rushing yards if your wide receivers do jet sweeps.
Yeah, I mean basically. But yeah, no, I'm forced to start like Nyheim Hines this week. I'm not happy about it because no fab and everyone.
Still puking my mouth out there.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not asking for much here, so I just went for a matchup that I thought had some juice to it, and it has a good running back core. So the Colts have a good defense, so there's some way. Like I'm not happy about it. Not happy about it at all. But of all the crappy options, he's got something there.
There are no Colts in this game outside of Jonathan Taylor that I'm comfortable starting. Mo Alley Cox is back at practice, so Trey Burton's dead to me.
Mm-hmm.
Their receiving core is just a carousel where they're all going to end up with 50 yards and 4 catches at the end of the game. I am interested in exactly none of them because it's there's just too many options, and if you happen to guess the one that maybe gets to the touchdown, because I don't even guarantee the touchdown goes to them, great. This just smells like a Jonathan Taylor game, or at least a running game. It's Jonathan Taylor or bust for me in this game. Lions side of the ball, the Colts are middle of the pack against wide receivers. I think this one actually could be a little bit of a exposing game for the Colts. They haven't really played anyone that's as good as the Lions yet. I think they're a good defense, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Colts let the Lions do some work against them. Kenny Golladay is a great play in this matchup for me. I'm fine playing DeAndre Swift. If you have to, I'm fine starting Old Man Peterson. Hawk should be fine in this game, although the Colts have been really good against tight ends. So if there's one player on the field that I'm worried about, it's Hawkinson, because like I said, the Colts have been really strong against tight ends. But aside from that, I mean, Marvin Jones is Marvin Jones. You're probably not starting him anyway because he's been garbage all year, so this is the game he goes off.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any Lions that I'm overlooking that you're super jazzed up about?
No, I'm actually a lot more short on my Lions than you might be. Hawk is just... He's been getting looks in the end zone, so I'm not happy about starting him. But then again, who else is there at tight end this year?
Yeah,
so,
it's one where if you have Hawkinson, you probably don't have anyone to start over him because he's been good, so you haven't been streaming.
Yeah.
So you're just gonna have to take your one catch for 7 yards and it this game.
Yeah. You're just hoping that one catch for 7 yards is a touchdown. So
yeah, basically.
For me, it's this is Kenny G, Swift. That's kind of it for me.
I don't want to start Stafford in this game if I don't have to.
Yeah,
he's way down on my streaming options this week.
There are plenty of better options than Stafford this week. So this is one I'm just keeping it short and just start the clear guys, and I'm not expecting too much. Like Kenny Golladay could have a big game, but I wouldn't also be surprised if he just could tell to 5 catches and 60 yards.
That does happen to receivers.
Yeah.
As I don't shy away from Kenny in this one. I guess is what I'm saying. Like if he has a slower game, he has a slower game. No one goes off every game.
Yeah.
But Chargers Broncos are the first 4:00 game for us on this slate. We're looking at a 44.5 point over under for this one. Chargers are 3.5 point favorites. This one could be interesting. I do like the interdivisional matchups. These are could be two fun teams to watch. Herbert's looked good. As a result, his pass catchers have looked good. The Broncos are getting healthier. Drew Lock's back out there. Noah Fant's back out there. Melvin Gordon still has some run left before they slap him with a suspension, hopefully. This one is, to me, though, especially with the low over-under, it's not a game I'm targeting, and it's not a game that I'm, reaching for options in. It's, I'm starting Melvin Gordon, I'm starting Noah Fant. On the other side of the ball, I'm starting Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert. Maybe Mike Williams if I need a flex starter, but that's about it for me. Is there anyone that you're looking at that I'm not?
No, that's about it. I think the one I'm more surprised, it could be to the lack of options on Denver's side and their injury issues, but I actually felt like this one was a bit of a low total. I figured it was going to be a little bit in the 46, 47 range.
Like both teams' defenses have been playing very well so far this year, so it's like, there's no real explosive players on the field. I can see why it's a lower total game.
Fair. I just figured they would be riding the hotness that's been Herbert and try and push this up a few points. Maybe they're planning for that with where they place the line. A lot of people bet in the over until it climbs up, and then you get some unders to kind of cover. But
I believe this one's in Denver too, isn't it?
Yeah, it is at Denver.
Yeah, so there might be weather in play. We saw heavy snow last game, and this is Herbert's first trip to play in Denver. We regardless of what sport you play, we know it's tougher to play in Denver. Thinner atmosphere means less oxygen for running around and doing athletic things. The ball travels weird because there's less air to hold it down. That's why you always see home runs in Mile High. Like I could see this one just being a bit maybe a bit of a trap game for Herbert, but he's got to have a down game eventually. So if it's this one, it's this one. Seahawks 49ers. Here's the excitement on the slate. 54 point over under. The Seahawks are 3-point favorites. This one should be interesting. This is going to be a tough test for the Seahawks. The 49ers, even though they've lost some important pieces so far on their defense, they're still a very good defense this season. It'll be interesting to see what the Seahawks do against them. Because I actually think this game could be, while it should be an entertaining game, I think the total could come down a bit. I could see the Seahawks struggling to efficiently move the ball against the 49ers. Basically just scoring on big plays, kind of like how they did on the Patriots in week 2. Mm-hmm. 49ers side of the ball, I'm honestly kind of more interested in that because I think the 49ers, it's a case of the Seahawks being the better offense, but the 49ers having the better matchup, I guess. Like, the 49ers have a healthy Kittle. They've got Ayuk. They're going to have one of their running backs out there, spin a wheel, throw a dart.
Yeah, I think that's more, like, I love this. If this is a fully healthy Niners team, I would love their options for this game.
Yeah.
I think that's more of the issue is that they don't have the options to fully take advantage. I think this is just going to be a Kittle game. It's going to be a Kittle game with a sprinkling of Ayuk. Like,
I actually really like Ayuk as a starter as a streamer this week.
Yeah, he should be good. Like, keyword should be, but I would not also be surprised if this is just another 16 target Kittle game.
Sure. They keep the ball on the ground because the Seahawks can't stop you no matter what way you run against them. They slow the game down, and when they have to throw, they target Kittle.
Yep.
What about on the Seahawks side? Saints. On the 49ers side of the ball, you're starting Ayuk and Kittle. Are you okay with streaming Jimmy G if you need him as an option?
He's been pretty bad. I think the only reason I say no is because of lack of options and the style. Like, they ideally want to run the ball here.
Sure.
I also think there's just better options.
Well, let's say you have to, or maybe you're down to him and Baker. This is a week where there was a couple guys on bye. Guys like Kyler, you can't rely on them this week. Is he somewhere? If you're in a boat where you have to choose between someone like him and Baker, maybe him and Burrow.
I'm fine. I would definitely go Burrow over him. Baker, I'd have to think about it a little bit.
Like him and Stafford. Or what about him and Derek Carr? Because a lot of the streaming options this week are like less sexy streaming options. You're not really, super jazzed up about any of the ones you have to roll out there this week. Like, what's your cutoff on where you'll fire Jimmy out there?
I think I put Baker just above him. Probably Derek Carr just below him. So that's kind of what I'm putting him on.
Okay, fair. New Orleans Saints, Chicago Bears. 43.5 point over under. The Saints are 4.5 point road favorites in this one, I believe. And I can't really dispute that. This one's going to be a sloggy game.
Yeah, if we get another game, Sans Emmanuel Sanders and Sans Michael Thomas.
But Thomas did practice today, but
so
we'll see if that matters for his availability Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, normally a vet of his status, if I see him, he's kind of in the Julio Jones category where if I see him touch the field for practice, I'm playing him. But he's been so just weird this season. I'm watching him like a hawk.
Yeah.
I'm starting him if he plays. And
he might kick a pregnant mother or like throw an old lady down some stairs on Sunday or something.
Yeah, I don't know what he's going to take. That's kind of my issue here is just that's the only reason I'm treating him more like a normal player where I'm going to watch him. But yeah, he plays is in your lineup. I think this, like I said, but I do think this is still going to be. This is going to be the game. It's similar to the last game where I think Kamara owners are going to get the bounce back. Like I think we saw the floor for Kamara last week where it's like, oh no, he didn't hit the end zone, but he still got you 18 points. Like,
I will say for this one, the Saints are the side that I want to be on, even if there is no Emmanuel Sanders or Michael Thomas, because with that over under, they're essentially because of the 3 points buffer they give to the home team typically. That means that they're essentially giving the Saints 7.5 points. So they're expecting the Saints to score about 30 in this one.
Yeah.
So like the Saints, I'm okay with rolling players out there for them. It's not so much a matter of figuring out who's going to get the points as just like who's actually healthy for them. Because I don't really think there's any Saints that I'm not willing to roll out there if they're playing. Alvin Kamara's obvious, Jared Cook's obvious. If Michael Thomas is on the field, you're playing him, and then that's kind of the end of their their list of players. There, I guess you can try Traquan Smith or Marquez Callaway, but they're more of a crapshoot. Bears side of the ball, though, I mean, Allen Robinson's in the concussion protocol. We kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday, or waiver wire show. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the week. Is there any Bear you are trusting in this? Like 43.5 point total. That means that the Bears are expected to get about 14 points in this one. Is there any Bear that you are comfortable starting in this one if Allen Robinson doesn't play?
I am probably literally just starting David Montgomery, taking my 8 to 10 points and going home.
Starting David Montgomery and not watching the game because you just want to see what the final. You want to go look at that final box score and be like, 18 for 65.
Like one catch. Like I'm projecting this to just as he does every single week. He's just gonna get you your just standard points and go home. Maybe he gets in the end zone and he pops a bit, because who else is gonna score?
Sure, yeah, that'd be nice.
60 and a touchdown.
I mean, Darnell Mooney, I guess, could if Allen Robinson isn't out there, but that's my official analysis on this game. If there's no Allen Robinson,
yeah, I don't want any. I want to be as far away from the Bears as possible.
Yes, get me off this wild ride. Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles, the lowest total the Cowboys have seen this season, I think, at 43 points, and somehow the Eagles are still 8.5 point favorites. This low total's got to be just because they're like, the Cowboys don't have an offense anymore. They're playing without a quarterback.
Yeah, it is ugly how this is flipped, and like I said, it's just funny seeing these are the two most banged up games. This should have been if this was full rosters, everyone's healthy, perfectly healthy. This probably would have been a fantasy bonanza.
Sure.
Like you would have got to see some prime time. Like this would have been high scoring on both sides. I'd be jazzed about this game, but where it sits right now, it sucks. It's bad taste in your mouth. Like this is a game where you probably are forced into playing at least a couple of players, probably on the Dallas side.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, please, can I have somebody else? You're like, nope, you get the what used to be called Ezekiel Elliott. Like, this is not a fun game to watch. It's going to be sloppy, but
yeah.
I think the only thing I'm starting the Eagles, I have interest just because of how bad the Cowboys are.
Richard Rodgers, Jalen Reagor,
Wentz.
Wentz is in play here.
Whoever's the running back.
Boston Scott, because that doesn't sound like Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders.
Yeah, Sanyas. He hasn't been practicing, but it's once again there's but he's not confirmed out. Like
that's just Doug Peterson being a jackass.
I know it's annoying. It clearly looked like they were like, all right, this is a severe enough injury. 2 weeks, he'll get the bye as well. He'll be back. They could have just thrown him on IR and gotten themselves another spot, but I don't know.
That's too easy. It's but Travis Fulgham, Boston Scott, Jalen Reagor, Richard Rodgers. Are you okay starting Greg Ward in this one? I mean, it is the Cowboys defense.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many points that are going to be scored, so that's the only reason why I'm not trying to go too deep here, but I think I try and keep to the top. But if you've got an Eagles player you're trying to put in here that's healthy, you can convince me.
Okay. And let's jump down to the last game on this slate here. Do we have to cover this one?
Listen, we've skipped the Monday game for a crucial long time.
Okay.
Not this one's going to take that long.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus New York Giants. The Buccaneers are 12-point road favorites. 45-point over/under. They're gonna rip the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers gonna rip their own throats out. They're gonna rip the Giants' throats out and go home. For the Buccaneers side, I'm starting Brady in this one. I'm starting Mike Evans. It's the last time you can. He was dead, and then Godwin was like, "Guys, I broke my finger!" And just fingers are sideways, and Antonio Brown isn't ready to play yet. So this is the last Evans week. This is it.
I'm interested in me some Scotty Miller for this week.
Yeah, Scotty Miller's fine. Gronk's probably fine in this one. On the Giants side of the ball, you should have dropped all your Giants at this point. So what are you doing if you're starting any of them? No, I mean, I was Sterling Shepard, you can roll out in this one. Devonta Freeman, if he plays, sure, he's a healthy running back in the NFL. But, yeah, this is it. This is a no thank you from me.
Yeah, honestly, if you're relying on any Giants, basically the best hope you can get is that they go up so much that they bench their starters at halftime, and then the Giants get to play the backups for Tampa Bay. Then you might have a game where fantasy points might be scored for the Giants.
12-point road favorites. The Giants are expected to get 1 touchdown in this game.
Yeah.
That's... Hopefully you are not forced to start any Giants in this one. But that will do it for the Sunday slate. Before we leave you all, we're taking a little bit of a different approach with our streaming defense of the week. Vital and I are each going to give you a defense that we're interested in streaming next week. For me, I'm looking at the Washington football team versus these New York Giants. The Washington football team is coming off a bye. They'll be nice and fresh, ready to play. They love punching their divisional opponents in the mouth. They are also, fighting for that division lead at 2-5. So this is going to be an important game for the Washington football team to win. And the Giants are terrible. So I like this one. It's easy to get to the quarterback against the Giants. Daniel Jones loves giving the football to the other team. Sign me up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So looking at next week, other than that, probably that game, there's a lot of games where there's just the bad teams are getting handed to good offense or to good defenses. So there's not a lot. It's another not great streaming week. Like, I mean, Pittsburgh gets Dallas.
Yeah.
That's going to be gross for. You want to see gross for Dallas this week? It's going to be worse next week. So for me, I'm actually going with the Titans at home against the Bears.
Sure.
The Bears are one of the lowest scoring teams in the NFL. They have a slow, plodding style of offense. Al Robinson should be back, but if he's not, I'm especially more interested in that.
So you're taking the sort of like, they won't really hurt you approach.
Yes, this is definitely a defense that's not going to hurt you, and if they can play the way they want to play, they should be holding the ball on offense, running with Derrick Henry, so you should get limited exposure, and I think you could easily get a takeaway or two, but like I said, this is not a ceiling play, this is like a mid-game, like I wouldn't even call it a floor play, this is like you're going to get like a few points to get out of there.
I do want to just throw a couple dark horse ones in case you can't get one of those two.
Mm-hmm.
One dark horse one that may be interesting, depending on how the Dolphins look this week, is the Cardinals, who get them next week. Dolphins got to go cross country to face the Cardinals. If Tua looks like garbage, I'm interested in firing up the Cardinals against them. And then I am also interested in the Texans versus the Jaguars in a really, really dart throwy one. Minshew apparently has been playing with a broken thumb for a month.
Yeah.
So they are confirmed going to be starting a different quarterback next week. If he was so bad that he was worse than what Minshew looked like with a broken thumb, you could convince me that the Texans are a defense in play. It is one that this one is like, danger could explode in your hands, but if this guy was worse than Minshew with a broken thumb, like, what is he going to look like on an actual NFL field? Like, so if that's like worst case scenario, break glass in case of emergency. The Texans are probably out there because they've been putrid this season on defense. You can grab them and throw them in there.
Yeah, it's funny. When you first said Texas, I was actually looking through the games, and for a second there, I was going to half jokingly say, like, what, you're going to start Dallas against Pittsburgh?
Yeah,
and then you said Houston. I was like, I went to text me. I was like, wait, what? And then we went with that one. But, I mean, it is a spicy one to go. Even if Minshew's not out there, he could heal up over the game. We know that like, Godwin just fractured his finger, and he's going to be back.
A broken thumb and ligament damage, Minshew might be done for the season.
It's pretty bad. It does at least excuse his play from recent weeks. But do you really want to go against DJ Chark, freshly married?
Well, it's not DJ Chark. DJ Chark can't throw himself the ball. Like I said, for me, this one is not one that I'd be happy doing. It's more like you're streaming defenses and you miss the pickups, so you don't want to fab to beat everyone else, and you have to choose a defense. And it's like, all right, well, crap. Do I want to start the Panthers against the Chiefs, or like, this is one that no one's going to be looking at. Like you can get them for free after waivers, and it could be big fantasy points because, and I keep coming back to this, if the backup for Minshew was so bad that he couldn't get onto the field when Minshew had a broken hand and torn ligaments, he's probably not going to be good. So he could literally just airmail it to the Texans defense a couple times, and a couple picks, run one back. All of a sudden, it doesn't matter how many points the Jaguars are potentially putting up because you've already had your day made. Mm-hmm. So I'm targeting that one purely from a turnover potential standpoint.
Fair.
Well, that'll do it for us today. I wish you all the best of luck over the weekend in your various matchups. Hopefully injuries do not accost any of your teams and you all get explosive victories by many, many points where you cannot be Monday Nightmared. Unless you have anything else to say, I think that'll do it for us, and we'll see you guys next week.